Hello everyone. Today we're going to be processing an image I took of Orion's belt and sword using PixInsight and Photoshop. Let's get started here in PixInsight first. We're going to go and open our autosave that came out of Deep Sky Stacker. I believe this was about an hour of integration time. This was a couple months ago. I took this image. It was back when I first got a sky tracker and didn't have wall power to my camera, so my battery died really quick. So that was all I was able to really get was an hour. This image is going to look phenomenal when it's done, even with just an hour of integration time. It's normal for it to look dark like this out of Deep Sky Stacker. If we zoom in, I've definitely got some star trailing here. It's not horrible, but it's there, it's just kind of there. But so our first thing we're gonna do here is we're gonna go to process, and we're gonna go to screen transfer function. We're gonna uncheck this link here, and then we're gonna hit the nuke button, and that auto stretches our image, but that does not apply it to the image. It's just a preview. So to apply that auto stretch to the image, we go here into processes again, and we go to histogram transformation, and then where it says no view selected, click on your window here. Grab your instance from your screen transfer function right here, drag it down to here until it has the two little triangles, and just place it. And then from there, grab your instance from your histogram transformation and drag it onto your image. And that will make it look very ugly, but that's okay. Just hit F12 to get rid of the auto stretch preview, and there you go. Your original auto stretch is now applied to your image. From here, what I like to do is go to File, Save As. I'll just call it. I usually name the files in the steps that I'm taking, so this is step 1. Save it as a TIFF. I recommend 16 bits for Photoshop, compression none, and then leave everything else the same. Hit OK. Then we'll go into Photoshop here, and we are gonna open it. Alright, so for your first step in Photoshop, you're going to use the lasso tool and go around the stars and the main subjects of your image. Because if you don't select these stars here, it'll put a weird black halo around them whenever you do this, so I just get them in there too so it doesn't happen. Then you're going to go to select inverse, RC Astro, Gradient Exterminator. This is a paid plugin, but I feel like it works better than any other method I've tried, so it's definitely worth it. It's a lifesaver. So I do fine on the detail, aggressiveness on high, and balance background color. And watch it work its magic. Boom. Look at that. That's looking good. So now I'm going to save this again, and I'm going to name it 2. Turn off layers as copy, ICC profile sRGB. Save, no compression. And then we're going to go back into PixInsight. We can close this. We don't need that anymore. And then open our step 2. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the stars. And doing that, I'm going to use Star Exterminator, which is another paid plugin. I have it on Generate Star Image, so it gives you a star image and a starless image both. And I use large overlap because it seems to work better. And then you're just going to grab your instance and drag it onto your image. And we'll wait for that to finish. Alright, so it's done. So we now have a starless image and a star image. So what we're going to do is we're going to save both of these. So I'm just going to save this as 3. And our settings are still the same as before. Then I'm going to click on my star only image and save that as 3 stars. Okay, so then we're going to go back into Photoshop and we're going to open 3 and 3 stars. So we've got both of them. We can close this. We don't need it anymore. Alright, so what we're going to do here, the first thing I'm going to do is get rid of these dust spots. So I'm going to use the spot healing brush, use the bracket keys here, and just kind of go just a little bit bigger than it. That looks half decent. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to duplicate this layer here with Control J, and then I'm going to do a levels adjustment. So bring that in on a little, and then bring that down. So the core of the Orion Nebula here is super bright. Let me see. I'm going to open up Camera Raw here, and I'm going to go in here and create a brush mask with Camera Raw and just tone that down just a little. And while I'm in here, I'm going to get rid of this color noise here. All these like red, green, and blue specks of noise. So we go down to detail color noise, turn that up. 25 usually does it, and hit OK. Now I'm going to try to do a curve stretch. I don't know how far I'm going to be able to go before the image starts to look kind of nasty, but we're going to try that. Okay, so I mean that looks pretty good. It doesn't look amazing, but it looks half decent. So now what we're going to do is go into our stars image and open up Camera Raw, and so I have some color fringing on these stars here, so I'm going to go down to defringe, slide this over and turn it up, get rid of them. I believe there's some that have some green on them here also, so go to green. And that looks pretty good. I'm going to hit Control A to select all, Control C to copy, and then come over here and hit Control V to paste. And then I'm going to go to your blending options right here, and I'm going to do linear dodge add. So this will give you a little bit better idea of how your image is going to look. There's a lot of like green in here, so I'm going to try to run Hasta La Vista green, so that gets rid of the green. So that looks half decent. So now what I'm going to do to bring out this hydrogen alpha gas a little bit more, this red, I'm going to go to my channels and I'm going to click my red channel, so you can see each individual channel here. So highlight your red channel, Control A, select all, Control C, copy, and then go to File, New, and then Control V, paste. So this is what I like to do. This is how I do it personally. Go to Camera Raw filter, go in here, create a brush mask, turn up your clarity, and then kind of just go around this area here where that hydrogen alpha gas is. So you can see that really brings it out. And then we're going to go to subtract. I'm going to click right there where that star is supposed to be. I'm going to go down here a little bit too. So that brought out all that. So now we're going to hit Control A, select all, Control C, copy, head back over here, go into our channels, make sure red is selected, and then hit Control V to paste. So now this hydrogen alpha gas is way more visible than it was. So yeah, that looks pretty good. I think I would like to make these molecular blobs a little bit brighter. So I'm going to go into Camera Raw filter again. I'm going to zoom in on them, create a brush mask, turn up the highlights, and then just go over them a little bit. You don't gotta make them too crazy, but maybe make them a little bit more blue also. That looks good. This is what we started with our initial stretch from PixInsight, and then this is everything else we were able to bring out. I see there's some vertical banding noise in here. You can kind of just see like black noise going like across. So I have these astronomy tools here where there's horizontal banding noise. I can't remember if that's what I said. If I said vertical, I meant horizontal. Anyway, horizontal banding noise reduction. We're going to run that, and that's going to get rid of these black lines that are running across. Okay, they're gone. That looks much better. So next, I'm going to go to my crop tool, and I'm just going to crop out the edges just a little bit. I would also like to rotate this so it looks the same as it does in the night sky. So to do that, we would have to rotate it 90 degrees clockwise. There we go. So here's Orion's belt here, the 3 stars. And then here's Orion's sword, which is these stars here, the Orion Nebula and the Running Man Nebula. So there's one more thing I want to do to this before I bring it into PixInsight and work some serious magic. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to turn up the vibrance of the Orion Nebula and the Running Man Nebula, and I guess the Flame Nebula a little bit also. So to do that, I'm going to go into Camera Raw, my starless image, and I'm going to create another brush mask, and I'm going to turn up my saturation and just go over the Orion Nebula here. Then you can kind of play with it. Maybe change the hue a little bit to make it look a little bit more purple. It's up to you. It's art. You can make it look however you want, but I think that looks pretty good. And then I'm going to hit subtract and just very carefully go around the edges here in case any of that spilled out into areas I didn't want it to. Alright, that looks good. So then we're going to do the Flame Nebula here also. Create another brush mask. I'll turn up the brightness on it a little bit so it's a little bit more visible, and then make it a little bit warmer, like that. Probably don't, yeah. That looks good. Then I'll do subtract on the brush again and just very carefully go around the edge here. That looks good. M78, I mean, it's, you could make it look a little more blue, possibly. That looks half decent, I suppose. Alright, so we're going to hit OK, and there we go. So now what we're going to do is we're going to save this as a TIFF, turn off layers, and we're going to save it as 4. So now we're going to come here into PixInsight. We can close out of these. We don't need them. Open our image up here. So I got the trial periods for Noise Exterminator and Blur Exterminator, and these are absolutely phenomenal. So Noise Exterminator, I've just been leaving it at the default settings here. Some people don't like to use the default settings, I guess, because they feel like it's too much, but I personally like it. I feel like it works very well. So you're just going to drag your instance onto your image and then let it initialize. So there we go. Noise Exterminator has ran, and just look how smooth this image is now. It is so unbelievably smooth, and there's still a lot of detail. Like, here's the before, so much noise, and then after. Just looks incredible. And then even if you do lose a little bit of detail from that, just run Blur Exterminator. So I like to bring up the live preview here, which takes a second to generate because it's doing a lot of stuff. So normally what I will do is I'll keep the adjust star halos at 0, sharpen stars at 0.25, and then sharpen non-stellar at 1. But I really want to focus on more so this gas and dust that's in here. So I'm going to turn my sharpen stars all the way up to 0.5. And then you can see that makes them a lot smaller. So as for the star halos, I believe if you turn it up, it makes the stars kind of like the halos brighter. And then if you turn it down, it makes them dimmer. So I would probably adjust star halos. I would just keep it in the middle here. It looks good. I have non-stellar, then stellar sharpening order. So now we're gonna drag that onto our image and let that do its thing. Might take a minute. Alright, so here's our image here. You can see the stars are very, very small, very dim, but that is what I am going for this particular image, because I want the focus not to be on all these stars scattered in the background, but more so this dust and gas that's flowing around this region. So if we zoom in, you can see if you have star trails in your image, like, see how my stars aren't perfectly round, they're kind of trailed. Probably my polar alignment was off because it was still when I was fairly new at doing that. Wasn't quite as good at it as I am now. But look after using Blur Exterminator. It literally turns your stars into points. And then if you don't want them to be that small and pinpoint, you just turn your sharpened stars here down to 0.25. Usually looks pretty good. Normally, for most images that I do, I leave sharpened stars in the middle and adjust star halos in the middle, and I get pretty good results. But for this particular image, this is what I wanted. But then if you zoom in and look at the Orion Nebula here, so that's before using Blur Exterminator, and then look at after. It brings out so much of this like dark, like lanes and stuff in here. Like, just look at the before and after. Like, that's unbelievable. And then the Horsehead Nebula looks a little bit choppy. He don't look too good. He's seen better days, but it's so small in this image that that's really not a big deal. The Flame Nebula also does a pretty good job. Those are both very small in the image, though, and you're not really gonna be able to see any imperfections. Like the Horsehead, he's pretty imperfect, but you're not going to notice that. Especially if you're posting this on social media or something. Ain't no one going to see that. The quality gets downgraded as soon as you upload it to social media anyway. So here's our final image. It doesn't look as good as the last time I processed it. So the last time I processed it, I got all this out of it, which is a lot more. But overall, still looks very good. This one, though, I was able to bring a lot out of that. But I remember I had to do a lot of work to try to make it look somewhat pretty in the background here. So, yeah, hope you enjoyed.